So I'm going to demonstrate, and this might end up being a bit of a long video, but I'm going to demonstrate how to draw the 6 different spheres using some different techniques and, of course, some different mediums. Okay, so as I'm recording this, unfortunately, I left a lot of my drawing supplies in the classroom, so I won't be able to use everything I normally would have used. But so these are just some graphite pencils. So this one's an HB, this is I think an 8B right here in the middle. And this is actually one of those like drafting pencils that has this like long graphite stick, sort of like a mechanical pencil. So I'm gonna use that a little bit when I draw with some graphite, all 3 of these. And then the charcoal, I've got some different charcoal pencils. The only one I don't have with me is the Vine charcoal. I probably would have used that a little bit too. But I've got HB, I think 2B, 4B, 6B. And then I've got little bits of charcoal sticks here, a couple of different kinds, compressed charcoal, and then this, that's what that one is. And then this one is like a pastel. It's basically charcoal, but it's really dark charcoal color pigment. And I just got some different pens here. So some of my microns. So one's got a brush tip, and then the other ones are, there's an 02 and an 05. And then of course an eraser, and I just have a regular eraser. And then a razor blade just in case I need to sharpen the charcoal pencils again. Okay, so what I'm gonna do to start this out is the first one I'm gonna do is a tone drawing. Because I want you to do at least one, I want you to use graphite, charcoal, and ink at least one time in here. So you got to do 6 drawings. So if you really don't like working with charcoal, then you can only you could just use charcoal once and then do the rest in graphite and ink. Okay, or if you really like, let's say you really like ink, I don't know, you could do like 3 of them in ink, but make sure you do at least 1 in graphite, 1 in charcoal, and it doesn't really matter where. I will say that some of these techniques are a little easier to do with one medium versus the other. So up here in the corner, I'm gonna do the tone, okay? And so really, and I'll try to kind of reposition the camera here and hopefully it doesn't shake too much. Let's see, that's not bad. There we go, that's probably a little better. Okay, I'm gonna kind of tone in the space and then I'm gonna use an eraser to pull everything back out, okay? So you can do this with a chamois or with like a tissue, and I'm going to use a tissue. But you can see I sort of drew in the circle just so you guys could see where everything needs to be. And and as you guys are doing this, you have to do 6 of them. Again, make sure that they're all kind of in the same spot. Everything's, they're all the same size. Draw little boxes around them. As you can tell, I made a box, a box, a box, and so I got 6, so they're all like, in rows and columns. It really helps. Okay, so the charcoal, and you could do this one with graphite, but I think it's easier with charcoal. It won't work with ink. But anyway, so I'm just gonna kind of scrape at the charcoal stick. I'm sorry, I'm getting some shadows. I need to get a better light for my art studio at home. I need to get a bigger one. Okay. So I've got there, and I don't know, we'll throw a little bit more. So all I'm doing is just chipping it off, and it looks like black snow. Okay, and like I said, you could do this with a chamois, but I'm gonna do it with a tissue here, just because I think it's gonna work better. And so again, I'm gonna kind of end up covering up that little circle I had there, which is fine. And what I'm doing is I'm trying not to push too hard. And really it's better if you just kind of do little circles. Okay, so I'll try to tone in the square as much as I can. You can always kind of clean it up afterwards. And then I'm just gonna kind of wipe some of this out. Okay, and so I could wait to do this, but I'm gonna go ahead and clean up the edges. And there we go. Not perfect, but close enough for this demo. so that you don't watch me erase things for 20-30 minutes there. There we go. Close it. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and use the charcoal and again kind of get that circle back in there. That's going to be my sphere. And so if you notice, I'm just kind of tipping the charcoal, trying to light it a little more flat. It's my circle. It's about the same size as the other ones. And then I'm going to go ahead and kind of draw the cast shadow. Okay. And then there's an example I put for you on Canvas. So you can just kind of refer to that one. Okay, so I've kind of got my shape in there. And I didn't put it in very dark because I really kind of don't want to. Okay, so what happens here is the light's coming from the upper left and it's casting a shadow and there's my form. Okay, so the idea here is that I don't really want an edge, and so even, I can kind of smooth that out a little bit. If I need to use a blending step, I can. I don't happen to have one right here, but, or actually, there we go, I do. Okay. So, if I want to soften things out, I can, okay? But instead of drawing the edge, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my eraser. So there's kind of like I'm pulling the highlight back out, but I'm also going to pull out a little bit more of the light that's around it. So I'm going to try not to push as hard as I am trying to get some of this light back out. Okay, and like this gray tone I put in isn't all that dark, so I really don't have to pull it back too much. And again, right in the middle is that highlight. And really I'm going to try to kind of soften that a little bit on the edges. And I can always kind of come back in with the charcoal and again, blur it out a little bit. So we'll pull a little bit more light. Okay, and then as I start getting over here, there's the middle is going to be a core shadow. Okay, so I'm going to kind of emphasize that up a little bit more. And if you notice, I'm trying not to get it like really hard edged. I'm trying to just kind of put it in a little bit there, okay? I am going to kind of get the form from the bottom here. There we go, I'm starting to get my cast shadow in there. A little bit of a tone for reflected light, okay? And really, I should have done this all as one mask, like mask light and mask dark, but I was trying to break it up for you guys. Okay, so again, I'm gonna blend, smooth some of this out. I tend to kind of blend with my hands, but I'll try to use a stump. Okay. And so again, I'm gonna start to soften that up. And so I'm doing most of this with the charcoal sticks, but I'll come back in with a charcoal pencil. Okay, so again, I'm gonna bring a little bit more of this in, and if you notice, I'm not pushing down really hard. I'm trying to let the charcoal kind of stay on the top layers of that paper. Okay, and then I'm trying to go from light to dark. I'm probably going a little bit darker than I should, but it's okay. Okay, so I'm there. And I'm gonna use the tissue to lift a little bit more out here on the reflected light. And then even over here, because really this is going to be a little bit lighter too. The light's coming from the left side. And so again, I can just kind of soften and I know many of you guys do these. It doesn't have to be perfect. Just try to get it as good as you can. And I'm not going to render this as polished as I necessarily would. Some of it's just for time. Okay. Well, let's see. So I'm going to actually use the tissue, and you can do this with your chamois, just to smooth up the edge. Okay. And again, I feel like I want to soften up the reflected light, so I'm just kind of winding it up into a little point. And smoothing that out a little bit. Okay. And so I always like to include the occlusion shadow here, like where I just really push, like right against the edge where it touches the bottom. I really like to darken that up. Okay, and that just kind of helps push that back. And again, I'm just going to kind of smooth this out. So I'm not going to go too much more crazy with this because I don't want this to be too long of a video, but just to give you an idea of how to get going. Okay, and if you notice, again, I'm trying not to give like really hard edges to the bottom. The core shadow. Again, I'm just going to kind of go there, and then and as I'm drawing, I'm just not pushing as hard. Like I said, if I feel like if I went too dark, which maybe I did, I can always kind of pull this back a little bit. Okay. And it's just say good enough for now. Maybe. Okay. No, I'll smooth that out a little bit. So the tone one, you want to do something like that. Like I said, I feel like my shape's a little crooked here and there. Again, it's something that I would keep adjusting as I go. And when you draw these circles, you saw I just kind of hand drew mine. But to be honest, if you can just, you can use a compass, or even if you find some kind of, like the bottom of a cup or something that's the right size, feel free to use that too. If you don't want to hand draw them, at least for this assignment, it's okay. Okay, so there's the one's tone. So I did one in charcoal and I did a tone. Or again, I just, I filled it in and I'm basically working subtractively. I pulled a little bit of charcoal out, and then of course I went additive and I, again, darkened some things in. So there's the first one.